Welcome to Making Sense with Steve. Today we're going to cover single mothers and the effect that it's having on society, whether it's positive or negative. We're just going to discuss some facts. We're going to discuss serial killers, and we're going to discuss sodomites, or we can call it the LGBTQ alphabet family, whatever you want to call it. So where I'm going to open with is some statistics on single mothers. Now, the wording in this article that I got this from, a lot of times it says fatherless homes. A fatherless home would still be classified as a single mother home when she has a man living there with her, whether it be a husband that's not the father or a boyfriend, because as most of us know, single mothers will not allow another male or a male period to engage in the rearing of the children. So we'll start right here. 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes. That's from the U.S. Department of Health and Census. That's 5 times the average. 90% of all homeless and runaway children are from fatherless homes. 32 times the average. 85% of all children who show behavior disorders come from fatherless homes. 20 times the average. It's from the Center for Disease Control. 80% of rapists with anger problems come from fatherless homes. Yes, single mothers, you are responsible for 80% of the rapists that are out there. 14 times the average. Justice and Behavior, Volume 14, pages 403 through 426. 71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. That's 9 times the average. That's the National Principals Association report. Fatherless children are twice as likely to drop out of school. Well, we just read it's 9 times more, or no, 9 times the average, but they're twice as likely to drop out of school. Children with fathers who are involved are 40% less likely to repeat a grade in school. Children with fathers who are involved are 70% less likely to drop out of school. Children with fathers who are involved are more likely to get A's in school. Children with fathers who are involved are more likely to enjoy school and engage in extracurricular activities. 75% of all adolescent patients in chemical abuse centers come from fatherless homes. That's 10 times the average. Researchers at the Columbia University found that children living in 2-parent households with poor relationship with their father are 68% more likely to smoke, drink, and use drugs compared to all teens in 2-parent households. Teens in single mother households are at a 30% higher risk than those in 2-parent households. That is a 30% higher risk than even the children that are living in a household where a poor relationship with the father takes place. 70% of the youths in state-operated institutions come from fatherless homes. 9 times the average. That's from the U.S. Department of Justice. 85% of all youths in prison come from fatherless homes. 20 times the average. The father factor with incarceration. Even after controlling for income, youths in father-absent households still have a significantly higher odds of incarceration than those in mother-father families. Youths who never had a father in the household experience the highest odds. A 2002 Department of Justice survey of 7,000 inmates revealed that 39% of jail inmates live in mother-only households. Approximately 46% of jail inmates in 2002 had a previously incarcerated family member. 1/5 experienced a father in prison or jail. Now we have the father factor in crime. A study of 109 juvenile offenders indicated that family structure significantly predicts delinquency. Adolescents, particularly boys in single-parent families, were at a higher risk of status, property, and person delinquencies. Moreover, students attending school with a high proportion of children of single parents are also at risk. A study of 13,986 women in prison showed that more than half grew up without their father. 42% grew up in a single mother household, and 16% lived with neither parent. Father factor in child abuse. Compared to living with both parents, living in a single parent home doubles the risk that a child will suffer physical, emotional, or educational neglect. The overall rate of child abuse and neglect in single-parent households is 27.3 children per 1,000, whereas the rate of overall maltreatment in two-parent households is 15.5 per 1,000. Daughters of single parents without a father involved are 53% more likely to marry as teenagers, 711% more likely to have children as teenagers, 164% more likely to have premarital birth, and 92% more likely to get divorced themselves. Adolescent girls raised in a two-parent home with involved fathers are significantly less likely to be sexually active than girls without involved fathers. 43% of children live without their father. That's from the U.S. Department of Census. 90% of adolescent repeat arsonists live with only their mother. That's from Ray Herbert, Dousing the Kindlers, Psychology Today, January 1985, page 28. This problem's been going on for quite a while, folks. It's not something that just cropped up. 75% of adolescent patients in chemical abuse centers come from fatherless homes. Rainbows for All God's Children is a reference on that one. Fatherless boys and girls are twice as likely to drop out of high school, twice as likely to end up in jail, 4 times more likely to need help for emotional or behavioral problems. USDHHS news release March 26, 1999. The numbers just go on and on and on. It's unbelievable what's going on. Children with involved loving fathers are significantly more likely to do well in school, have healthy self-esteem, exhibit empathy and pro-social behavior, and avoid high-risk behaviors such as drug use, truancy, criminal activity, compared to children who have uninvolved fathers. Children who live absent their biological fathers are, on average, at least 2 to 3 times more likely to be poor, to use drugs, to experience educational, health, emotional, and behavioral problems, to be victims of child abuse, and to engage in criminal behavior than their peers who live with married, biological, or adoptive parents. This is some pretty tough stuff. People don't seem to take this into consideration with what we're doing in our society, and we keep pushing to keep going down this path. But this path is proving to us that it's not working out. And a couple final notes on single mothers and how they affect our society. More than 89% of serial killers come from single mother households. And if you think that's bad, 100% of men that are female-oriented killers come from single mother homes. 100%, ladies. You're building the serial killers that go out there and kill women. Not to mention the other serial killers too. Now, I've pulled some numbers. What I've got, and this runs from 08 to 17. And what I found is that in 08, in the black community, we had 65% single mother rate. Now, through the Obama years, and this carries true for blacks and whites, the numbers rose up, and now they're working on creeping back down. We're actually, in 2017, for blacks it was 65%. Whites. In whites it was 23%. In 08, and right now, well, in 17, it's at 24%. Now, where this gets kind of interesting is I cross this to serial killers by race. In 2010, which I realize doesn't line up quite right, 30.8% of serial killers were white. 59.5% of serial killers were black. These are getting pretty close to the percentage of single mother rates. I've got to believe that there is a definite connection between the number of serial killers by race and the number of single mothers by race. I found data on other races as well. I just chose those two because they're the two largest communities in America. Now we move into our sodomites, or the alphabet clan. These are some pretty interesting numbers. I don't remember where I found this one at. Adherence.com. But again, there's plenty of data on this stuff out there. 69% was what I found of serial killers come from the homosexual or the LGBTQ community. Considering they make up 2% of the general population, that seems like a very alarming number to me. And remember, they are trying to tell all of us that what they choose as a lifestyle is normal, and it's, the only difference is who they choose to sleep with. Well, something's going on in their head, because they're making up 69% of serial killers, okay? And they're a very tiny subset of our general population. So I went and I pushed a little further, and this was a great one. I found it great, especially when I found out where it was from. I got on the website LGBTQ Nation. So that's my source for these numbers. Okay? 21% of transgender women, which I don't know if that means women that are trying to be men or men that say that they're women, have spent time in prison or jail versus 5% of all people in general. That's 4 times as many. The number of people in prison or jail who identify as LGBTQ is roughly twice that of the general population. Now remember, we're talking 2% of the general population. More than twice as many in jail are LGBTQ or prison. And whereas about 8% of all youth identify as LGBTQ or gender non-conforming, 20% of youth in several juvenile detention sites across the country identified that way, including 40% of girls. Folks, these people, the LGBTQ, the single mothers, they are a giant vacuum cleaner on the wallet of the nation. They are sucking our resources dry. They are keeping our prisons full. Unemployment or unemployable children. The mental health industry. This is not succeeding. It's simply not succeeding. We need to stop praising single mothers. Come on. They're responsible for 100% of the serial killers that kill women. Why are we praising them? Why are we saying, oh, they're heroes, they're doing such a great job? No, they're not. They're failing in everything they're trying to do. Everything they try to do. These women come out and they say men and women are the same, and that's not true. It's simply not true. This is turning around to bite them in the rear end now. The LGBTQ has got it set up now, since men and women are the same, and this is what feminists have pushed. Men can be going into girls' bathrooms and girls can be going into men's bathrooms, but I don't think that happens very often. But I see the males going the other way. And now we have schools who are refusing to deny access to biological males that want to go into the female locker rooms. This means your daughters are showering with boys at school. And this is school policy. Because, well, we can't discriminate against. First off, there's an argument to be made as to what rights children have versus adults. We got to pull out of this. If this country is going to survive, we have got to stop bowing down to these insane ideas. I've said it before. It holds true. Not one person has been able to prove me wrong. Feminism has proven to be a cancer on the United States of America, and it goes all the way back to the Civil War. In any case, folks, that's it for me. I'm out of here. Y'all have a great day.